Hey everybody, how are you today? Hey everybody, it's me, Tuniscia O, and welcome to Tea with Tuniscia O on this beautiful Tuesday. I'm so excited to be joining all of you today, and I know that all of us, and my prayers are with each and every person that can hear the sound of my voice right now as we face this together, this just time where it's just full of so much uncertainty. We have our children at home. There's just so many things going on. So today I thought it would be fitting for us to come together and let's talk about overcoming frustration of being where we are in our businesses. Like if you have a business, tag it in there, tag your business. This is a great time for us to talk about our businesses, not just from a promotional standpoint, but because, let me not say tag your business. Let me rephrase that. Talk to me about the things, the areas that you're in your business where you feel frustrated, where we can talk through them right now. Like this is the time for us to be really transparent in our sisterhood journey, to talk about the areas that we are struggling with the most. I know I've hit them, and there are going to be people who are going to join that are able to give you some advice and some tips, but let's talk about overcoming frustration and being forgiving when your business or your business ideas aren't working. Because the reality is, the way we know life right now, some of us, our 9-to-5 jobs may not be there for us, sadly. And some of us may need to be really forgiving with ourselves because there may have been some business ventures that we have thought of that we didn't jump out to do. And right now we're really beating ourselves up because we didn't do it. And the reality is, us beating ourselves up isn't going to get it done properly, but us processing where we are right now, that's what's going to get us there. So I figured this was a great time for us to talk, and let's get into the difficult part, the parts that we know, that we don't know. And this is totally a conversation. This is a dialogue, not a monologue. So you guys join in with me and let's talk about this. So once again, I'm Tuniscia O, and I am going to talk as sisterhood. Let's talk. So here's the one thing that I find. First of all, when we think of these great ideas with business, how many people are like, yes, I have this wonderful idea of whatever it is you want to do. And the first area where we get really frustrated and feel defeated is our families. Our families don't respond the way we want them to. We don't feel like they support us the way they need to. I actually saw somebody recently write on Facebook that they were upset that people were promoting the DJ parties that are happening on IG, but they aren't promoting their business. But the reality is, people see value in what they see value in. And we can't judge people because maybe they're excited to have a party that they want to go to. We can't judge that. We have to be okay with that. So one, it's the acceptance of our family and them not taking us serious. But the next thing is, and you'll see me glancing over at my notes, are what are your thoughts? So let's talk about your business. You have this business idea. Are you clear on what your business ideas are? First of all, if you're joining me, hey, Siobhan, get a pencil and paper. Let's talk. Let's write through things. I'm going to ask questions, thought-provoking. This isn't a conversation where you guys are just going to sit back and drink your tea and listen to me. Yes, have your tea, but also have yourself a journal. Like I have this journal. We'll talk about, get a journal, get a pen and paper, and as thoughts pop into your head, begin to write them down. Let's talk about these things. I'm not going to just sit here and complain about what's happening in business, because everybody can complain, but it takes the true leaders to tie up those bootstraps and really get into it in order to get to the root of how we're going to correct and fix where we are currently. So your thoughts. What are your thoughts towards your business? Who is your ideal client? What are you selling? Are you selling cakes? If so, what type of cakes? Are these cakes for children? Are these cakes for adults? Like if they're rum cakes, maybe they're cake. What are you selling? Who is your ideal client? If you're a coach, who is that? The only way we can really begin to overcome our frustration in business is what? Be honest with what we're really frustrated with. Like a lot of times we don't want to be honest with ourselves, let alone the world, to say we're disappointed in ourselves. I know for a while I was disappointed in myself just because I wasn't getting up on time. I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. And that's hard for me to say publicly. Like the fact that I was failing in my business is because of me. Yes, I may not have felt my family was as supportive as they could be, but they weren't the people who were supposed to wake me up in the morning to get me out of bed. That was my responsibility to get up and get started. So in your journal, write down, what are you frustrated with? What are the areas that you want to see shift, right? So instead of focusing on what you're really just frustrated on, acknowledge them, but write down what you could be doing differently. Is it waking up earlier? Is it being more consistent? But be accepting and be gentle with yourself as you're looking through this journey, because when we're frustrated, all we get is what? More frustration. We will find every single problem when we're frustrated. But when we're gentle and patient and we're looking for solutions, that's when they come, because we're far more creative when we're open to the solutions of things that are happening. So that's one of the things. And I know for me, have you ever seen the people who make it look so easy? You know, the people in business, they make it look so easy. And you're like, I should be able to do it just like them because they make it look so easy. But listen, don't judge yourself on your worst day to somebody else's best day. That's one of our biggest mistakes. We always want to judge what someone else is doing, but we don't know what they went through to get there. And even if it's somebody that you know personally and you're like, I know everything they went through, you may know what they told you, but you don't know everything. So don't judge your worst day to their best day. And in the same vein, don't judge your best day to somebody else's worst day. We might be thriving and kicking butt right now, but tomorrow we don't know. We might have a struggle. We all have struggles. So listen, we are all in this together. The coronavirus is a global thing. It is not just in Maryland. It's not just in China. It's not just in the UK. It's globally. Okay. That means that we all are going through this, but how we process it to work through it is going to be key, because I'm going to tell y'all something right now. As these things are going on, you're going to find some people that are going to come out on the other side, and some people that you thought were not doing good, were struggling, you thought they were broke. I don't like that word. They going to come out and be the multimillionaires because they were grinding differently. There are some people that are multimillionaires right now that are not going to come out the same way. So you get to decide right now. I know you're frustrated. I know you're annoyed. I get it. But what then? So what? So it failed a couple times. So you didn't get it done the right time. So your family isn't supporting you the way that you wanted them to. So you don't have all the money that you think you need to get it done. So what? Then what? So what do you do now? And that's this conversation now. We can spend the rest of the time focusing on everything we don't have, or we can come together to figure out what we do have. Do you know, true story, I am working on several projects. Do you know somebody gifted me this morning? I opened up my thing and they gave me several $1,000s as a business loan in order to get working on some things that I have going on. And some of you may say, oh, that's just because of this or because of that. But really, it's because there was a need that I had. And yes, there was a prayer that I had, but there's also a consistency in what I do. So when I asked that person and went to them having this conversation, they're not wondering what I'm doing. So for some of you, you may not have the financial backing you need because you haven't been consistent in what it is you're doing. People don't know to take you serious because you haven't been consistent. So our first one is acceptance, accepting where we are, exactly how we are. That means accepting and acknowledging our strengths and our weaknesses. That's how we're going to overcome frustration. See, people can't come to me to tell me why I'm not doing what I want or why I may be failing. And for me, failing for me is growing. It doesn't mean that I'm a failure. It means that I'm just not getting it right the way I want to in that moment. But that's where growth comes, okay? Even Thomas Edison, what was it, like 10,000 times he tried the electricity different ways. That light bulb, he tried it and tried it and tried it 10,000 times. Some of us won't even do it 10 times, let alone 100 or 1,000. 10,000, forget it. You've moved on to something else. But some of us are quitting right before the end. So accept where you are, but acceptance and growth comes when we really acknowledge our strengths and our weaknesses. That's just hard. That's the truth. No one should be able to tell you about you and you not know if that's true or not. I'm not saying that you're supposed to hold on to everything people say, because people say all kinds of things and it doesn't make it true about you. But if it's true, then you get to look at it and say, let me work through these things and let me grow through these things. So next step is being clear and consistent. What does that mean? What that means is when you're posting, if you're on social media, what are you posting? What are you posting? If you say that you are a coach, I'll just say, because a lot of people say that they're coaches. If you're a coach, Are you constantly posting about cats and dogs? Are you constantly posting about all the problems in the world? Are you constantly posting negative things about relationships? Because the thing is this, if you are a relationship coach in any arena and most of your posts consist of you talking about problems, what message are you really sending? And if you do want a place to be able to post a lot more freely with expressing however it is you are, then guess what? You get to create a separate thing altogether. Like, don't have that on your business page. Have it separate. Which leads me to this. For those beautiful people who have multiple careers, maybe you do paparazzi, you're also a coach, you also bake cakes. If you have multiple businesses, then you want to have separate business pages. Why? Because it's confusing. People need consistency. Think about it. McDonald's, when they have their commercials, most times their commercials, if they're selling, let me not even use McDonald's because I don't even eat McDonald's. So let me just talk about something that I actually eat. I like Burger King because they have Impossible Burgers, which are the vegetarian burgers. But when you have these places that are advertising certain things, they are focused on that one thing. Insurance. Here we go. When insurance comes in, they may have an insurance to tell you that they sell car insurance and they sell house insurance, home insurance, right? But the reality is they also have renter's insurance. But we don't hear them talk so much about renter's insurance or focusing on that. And those businesses also have all sorts of other products that they offer, but they focus on the one thing that they really want you to know. What do you really want your people to know? What is the consistency? And so then we get annoyed when people are like, oh, what are you doing this week? Oh, you switched your business again? And it feels insulting, but it's like, dang, it's because we're not consistent. I know it's annoying, but we're not consistent. And so people don't know to take us serious. They don't know if they should be in with us or if we're just going to quit this one thing and move on to the next. And I get it. It's okay to shift businesses. No one is telling you that we should stay the same. We should all grow. We should all move into something. But here's the deal. Some of us should really take a moment, take a deep breath, and really tap into what you want. Because the reality is many of us are living somebody else's life. And that's why we keep quitting, because you didn't start that cake baking business because you were passionate about cakes. You were good at baking cakes. And everybody told you were good at it. But what you really wanted to do was you wanted to be a travel agent and you want to be traveling the world. So you are now living in resentment, bitterness, and anger because you're baking cakes and yeah, you're good at it, but you hate it because it's not what you love and you want to be traveling the world. And what you could be doing is traveling the world, tasting other people's cakes and bringing awareness to other people's cakes, doing a travel blog on cakes around the world. And now you're doing two things in one. And now you're being paid to travel the world. People are inviting you to come. Do you see the difference in that? Cakes are still involved. You're still maybe baking cakes here or there, but you're doing what you were passionate about, which is traveling. So the question is, when you are being clear and consistent, are you doing what you want to do? Because a lot of times our frustration comes because we're not living the life we want. We're living the life somebody else wanted. And then we blame everybody else for that. So the next thing is, are you approachable? You know, we always hear, if you guys are into coaching or any type of marketing, we will hear people say the importance of us getting testimonials. Have you heard people talk about get testimonials? But there's a difference between us getting testimonials and us being the testimony, always talking about ourselves. If you constantly hear someone's videos or see them posting and they're always talking about, oh, someone said I'm this and someone said I'm that and me. You see, it's a different impact than when you hear someone else say, you know what? It was amazing to see this thing. This is what impacted me from what you did. So if you're in a place where you need testimonials, get them from the people. Let the people be your voice. Let them talk about how you impacted them. You talking about yourself doesn't have the same effect as someone speaking on your behalf and how you helped to shift them. If you notice something that every time you post or whatever it is you're doing, you're getting no feedback, maybe one friend, because I know for me, I may get DMs from complete strangers. So I'm talking about feedback from people who you don't know, talking about how you've impacted them. If you're getting no feedback, that's feedback. If no one is responding to you, no one is buying in, maybe one person here or there, that's feedback. And sometimes that means, it doesn't mean that you need to scrap everything. It doesn't mean that you're doing everything wrong. Sometimes it's just a gentle little tweak. Sometimes we may be talking about something, but we're using terminology that people just don't understand. We should be selling our products in a way that a fifth grader can understand. Very gentle, very simple. If you say, I'm a dream deliverer, whatever that means. What does that mean? I don't know what it means if you say, I'm a coach, I'm a dream deliverer. Okay, what does that mean? You guys, we've all met those people where we don't quite understand, and it doesn't mean that what they have isn't something we need. It just means we don't understand what they're talking about, right? So as you're writing and journaling, journal down what it is and how you can break down what you do in one sentence. When you meet someone, your consistent tagline, it's one sentence. Everything is one sentence. If it has to be a long drawn out thing, we got to go back to the, hey, Joy, thank you. I love you, sis. We have to go back to the drawing board to talk about it so that a fifth grader can understand it. So we also want to avoid being the know-it-all, okay? In business, sometimes we get frustrated and we want people to know that we know what we're talking about. But there's a difference in sharing our expertise and being that know-it-all. That know-it-all is the person like, yeah, that's what you know, but you need to do it this way because I know better. I. If everything is I or me, then we lose that ability to join and connect with other people. And I've grown to learn that by listening to gain understanding and clarity, it helps me shift my perspective and learn so much more about myself and whoever I am. So when you're clear and consistent, that doesn't mean that you're not still open-minded to understand and grow in order to understand business. I've learned some of the best tips that I've learned just by listening to people. So how well are you listening in that? And ask for the business is the third one. Let's talk about that. So remember, we've talked about the acceptance, accepting where we are, our strengths, our weaknesses, and our failures. Whatever they are, let's accept them to grow through them. Secondly, we're talking about being clear and consistent with whatever our message is. Always be on point with whatever it is that we're sharing. And the third one is to ask for business. Am I the only person who someone has said, let me know if I can help you. Let me know if I can do anything for you. And then when you tell them what it is that they can help you with or ask them for it, no response. Am I the only person? Where you're like, you asked me what it is. And see, the thing is that I don't know if everyone really means it when they say, let me know if I can help you. Because some people say it, but they don't mean it. And then we take it and we feel guilty because we've asked and answered the question. Like if somebody says, let me know if there's anything I can do. And then you say to them, you know what? If you know any business people or whatever it is that you're into, like for me, I vlog celebrities or different influencers, right? And so I may tell somebody, hey, if you have any celebrities or influencers who would love to talk on this topic, let me know. Then they say nothing. Now, if I took that personal, I could take that as, did I say something wrong? But I didn't. You asked me how you could support me, and I'm telling you. But see, so often people say, how can I help you? And our initial response is, I'm fine. I don't need anything. And we're struggling. We don't have what we need. We don't have half of what we need, but we're afraid to ask because so often in the past when we ask people for what we need, they ignore us or they don't give it or they tell us the reasons, all of their own problems. But that shouldn't stop us from speaking up. So speak up and ask for what you need. Ask for the business. Many times, a lot of us are frustrated because we keep giving things away for free because we don't realize our own value and worth. We don't know our value and worth. And so we figure, okay, well, they're taking it for free. But then when it's time to ask for the business, we kind of shy away. But listen, if any of you have a job, a 9-to-5, a W-2, you are an employee of someone else's, you are selling something, you're doing something to bring and generate business. What if you spoke up for yourself as boldly and confidently and proudly as you did when you spoke up for the company that you represent? What if you spoke up for your legacy and the wealth that you're building in your life as boldly and strongly as you did when you spoke up for somebody else's? What would happen? Ask, speak up. And that takes practice. Like literally look in the mirror and create whatever your one sentence tagline is and look in the mirror and practice that thing. This is not one of those chummy messages where I'm like, okay, guys, you're going to overcome frustration just because you need to pray and it's going to all disappear. Yes, you need to pray. Faith without works is dead. People forget that. We pray and then we act. We pray and we move forward with some type of activity to move beyond it. And part of that activity is realizing where we are struggling. What are your weaknesses? Everybody likes to focus on their strengths. Most of us don't like to focus on our weaknesses. That's why I may not be in the best shape I'm in good shape and I'm healthy. I have a phenomenal body as far as I'm grateful for it. Whatever your body looks like, it's phenomenal. It's healthy. It's great. I say that to say, if you want to lose more weight or something like that, you got to focus on the fact that I'm a little weak when it comes to wanting to get up to walk or when it comes to wanting to do jumping jacks or lift weights. That's a weakness of mine, but I can make it a strength. But I can only make it a strength if I realize where I'm being lazy. But most of us don't want to do that. We don't want to realize where we want to be lazy. We just want people to praise us for what we're doing right. But I'm going to tell you something. The most successful people in the world, millionaires, billionaires, whoever you deem as successful in life, they are successful because they have taken a look at what their weaknesses are. They have to do both. We have to acknowledge our weaknesses and our strengths at the same time. So back to asking for business. Share your story. What's your story? I know so many people that I hear that say, it's just not worth it. No one cares. I don't need to share my story. Your story matters. You didn't go through or grow through whatever you've gone through to just keep it to yourself. It's a story that you get to share with someone else, especially if your story is directly tied to whatever your mission or vision is. If it's tied there, you want to figure out how to share it. Now, if you're in a phase of your life where your story is still too tender or too sensitive and you can't really share it without being annoyed or you're still in pain or it just causes something to stir up inside of you and you're just uncomfortable, don't share it. It's not time yet. It doesn't mean that you never share it, but it means that it's just not time yet. Because if your story is still a trigger point for you, you want to heal through it before you begin to talk about it. There are certain things that are happening right now in my life, in this journey, that I haven't shared. And people see me on social media all the time. And there are people like, wow, I know so much about you. You do know things about me, but you know what I've shared. You don't know everything because I haven't shared everything because some things are just still too tender. So it's important for us to know where to have our boundaries for what we share as we share. When we're asking for the business and speaking up, there may be people who will speak to a topic that you know a lot about and you can speak on it, but it's going to take your wisdom to know, now's not the time, because everyone doesn't deserve to know all of your story. And we do not need to give all of our story. Hey, Kelsey, we don't need to give all of our story in order to gain an alignment. That's not going to equal money. Telling all your business does not equal a client. It just doesn't. So know the boundaries, but also share your story in a place where you are still comfortable and confident. And make sure when you're sharing your story, you're able to share it to help somebody else grow through their journey, not just feeling sorry for you or, oh, poor you. Nah, I don't want sympathy. I want us to grow through this thing together. So remember, when people don't respond, when you're asking for something that they said, can I help you? And then they don't respond. Does that mean that you did the wrong thing? No. Don't feel guilty for asking when someone asks, because when they ask to help you, that's their stuff. If they've asked to help and they ignore you after you answer them, or they avoid you after you've asked them, that's not on you. Now, I don't know what you asked for. I don't know how you asked. And I'm not saying when you ask someone, let's not do this. Let's not throw the guilt trip on there when we ask for something. You know how you ask for something and you say, well, I was there for you. I did this for you. I did that for you. And you owe me. No. No one owes you. Listen, just because I gave something to someone else, the gift that comes back may not come from them. That might not be their assignment to give that back to me. It could be somebody else who's going to be the person to give it back to me. And I'm not talking about the people who borrow money and they don't pay you back and they're supposed to. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the people that you may be giving loads of advice to. I'm talking about the people that you may be spending extra time with. I'm talking about the people you may be picking up to take them to the hospital or doctor's visits, especially in this time right now where we are likely going to help complete strangers. The gift and the blessing isn't given to just because we want to get something back from them. It's out of the abundance of our hearts and out of overflow. That's where we should be coming from. And with that being said, there are some of us who are far more givers. But what I find is many of the people who are really, really good at giving, they're not good at receiving. They haven't had a comfortable place to just allow someone to give to them and just say thank you and be okay with it. So for those people who love to give, remember, don't block someone's blessing. And I don't know who I'm talking to right now, but don't block someone's blessing because you're uncomfortable with receiving. Be able to give to people and allow people to give to you as well and receive those blessings, okay? So listen, there are 3 things that we can all do to overcome and forgive. You're going to have to forgive yourself because a lot of us are in a place where we're like, if I would have just done that business when I was supposed to, I wouldn't be in this place. Some of us are laid off and now we're frustrated with the decisions. We're going to be frustrated with our spouses because we feel like if you would have done it when I told you, listen, blaming and pointing fingers is not going to get us where we want to go any faster. It's just not. Now's the time for us to buckle down and really get honest with ourselves, to accept where we are, accept the things that we're weak in, and accept the things that we're strong in. Continue to build our strengths, yes, but definitely build upon our weaknesses so that we can bring up the things that we want to do a lot better. Many of you have a brilliant idea, right? What does that mean? You have a brilliant idea, but because you're not good at sales, no one's buying it. And you're thinking no one's buying it because it's not a brilliant idea. No one's buying it because you're not good at sales. So now that's your weaknesses, which is speaking up. But as soon as you get that voice or even hire someone on your team or bring somebody along who is a better salesperson, now all of a sudden you explode. We're not all good at the same thing, okay? So accept where you are. Be clear and consistent on whatever it is that you want to do. Whatever business it is, know your story, tell your story, share your journey, get clear on what it is, and ask for the business. Ask for help. There are tons of people that are around you. So if you're listening to my voice right now and you're saying, there's no one that will help me, Tuniscia, no one is available, DM me or message me. I'd love to hear from you because I can probably almost promise you that I know somebody who could at least give you some tips or tidbits to help you along this way. Okay? So from my family to yours, I love you guys. Forgive yourself. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. I know you may feel like you're failing and some of you may feel like you're on top of the world, but that always shifts. Life is just ever evolving. So listen, forgive yourself. I know you're frustrated with where you are, but we can all grow through this together. And I promise you, the help you need, the support you need, the business backing, the financially that you need is closer than you know. You're closer to your breakthrough than you know. You're closer to your breakthrough than you know. The moment you continue to look for solutions as opposed to focusing on the problem, that's when you begin to have the sky open up for you. From my family to yours, I love you guys, and I will see you soon. Ciao.